So we talk, we listen to news reports all the time about Afghanistan and how that's going and what are the prospects for defeating the Taliban or whatever. What do you think, why is the U.S. in Afghanistan and Pakistan?
I think we're in Afghanistan because we freaked out with September 11th and responded very quickly. At the time, the Taliban were not an enemy. They were simply protecting their guests, the Al-Qaeda. And they were people who had established a kind of order across Afghanistan that was better than what had gone before. Once in there, we went off on a fool's errand in Iraq. And the Obama campaign, and I'm an Obama supporter, contributor, and so on, for full disclosure, the notion of yes, we can was something he applied to Afghanistan to show he wasn't soft. And it was a ploy in that election that was exactly designed to hold off McCain, who agreed with him basically on Iraq. But he says, I'm going to change the game, and I'm going to say that Afghanistan is where we should be working. We might do some things in Afghanistan, but the notion of creating a huge military force to enforce central authority on the Afghans by the mayor of Kabul is a very bad idea and an expensive one that the American people will not support in the 20 years, 30 years we're talking about this actually working.
Okay. Sherry, I know you had some, maybe you'd like to just mention briefly before you talk about whatever it is you'd like to say. But you, before the show began, you showed me an interview with an American general who's predicting another 10 years in Afghanistan. And this is coming from the U.S. military.
He's the chief of staff of the Army.
Very optimistic.
Yeah, his last name, I think, is Casey. Yeah.
So a minimum of 10 years.
It's very recent. It was at the end of May, and it was 10 years at least in Iraq and in Afghanistan. At the same time, admitting that, Secretary of Defense Gates, even President Obama, Clinton have all admitted that what will really change the situation in Afghanistan is redevelopment, is support for infrastructure, that it will not be a military, quote, victory. But yeah, this is recent. It wasn't really picked up by the major media, but the alternative press did air it quite fully.
Yeah. New York Times ran it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no one paid much attention.
I think a statistic that's interesting that I read in some of the online press today is that with this current buildup in Afghanistan, there will be approximately 70,000 American troops. And that, plus what is currently in Iraq, is 10,000 more troops than were in Iraq and Afghanistan under the Bush administration. So we're seeing an actual increase of soldiers. And I really agree with what Dr. Wood just said. I think this is where Obama felt that he could show that he could be tough on terrorism, that he could be tough on defense. This was the theater he chose, and I think there's an immense amount of pressure on the president to show that. I think it's a mistake, a huge mistake, a great error that he's making, and I know that Colonel Ann Wright, who's been in Santa Cruz recently, had a career in the Army, then became a United States diplomat. She helped set up the embassy in Kabul after 9/11, feels very strongly that this is a huge mistake. And, I think as American citizens and also global citizens, because we each are both. We all have dual citizenship. We're citizens of this country, but we're also citizens of the global community. We have a particular responsibility to respond to this and what's being done with our money and in our name, and particularly what's being done to the Afghan people and the civilian casualties that are mounting and the children that are dying. That's our responsibility to respond to this.
Masood Mia, you were born in Afghanistan?
Yes. Born in Afghanistan and raised in Peshawar, so I was going back forward.
So you told me your family left Peshawar, left Afghanistan, Kabul.
Yes.
For Peshawar.
For Peshawar in 1995.
1995, and this is about the time that the Taliban were taking power.
Was taking power the villages, like not the Kabul, only like Kandahar, some parts of Kandahar, and like east of Afghanistan.
And your entire family left
Yes.
and went to Pakistan?
Went to Pakistan to the Khyber Pass border. So, yeah, we lived in Pakistan for like 10 years, Peshawar. But we were going back forward because we have like lands, we have houses. Our rest of the family was in Afghanistan, Kabul. So we were just going back forward to Kabul, Afghanistan, because it's just like 4 hours drive from Peshawar to Kabul.
Ah.
And yeah.
When you did return to Afghanistan during the years, had the Taliban taken power in Kabul at that point?
So many times. Yeah.
And what
when
was
Taliban was ruling the government in Afghanistan? We were still going back forward to Kabul, Afghanistan, but we have to follow their rules, because if you pass Khyber Pass, you enter Pakistan, so you had freedoms. You could shave your beard, you could do whatever you want. But in the Afghan border, this side of Afghanistan, you could not do anything. You have to follow their rules, and you have to grow your beard. You have to dress up like long gown. You have to wear hats. When the time of prayer, you have to pray. So you have to follow their rules when you're in Afghanistan. Anybody could come to Kabul, Afghanistan, when Taliban was ruling Afghanistan. But certain rules were like the Sharia law. You have to follow that law in order to stay in Kabul or stay in Afghanistan. And when we were going to, me and my father or my brother, we were going to Afghanistan, we had to let the beard, and we have to follow their rules in order to be in a safe spot.
And so you left, but you returned several times over the years.
Yes.
Have you been there recently?
Yes, actually, I was in Afghanistan on November of 2008, and in fact, I just crossed the border to Pakistan, to Peshawar, through Khyber Pass region, which is very dangerous right now. This is the most dangerous area right now, and I just grow my beard, and I wanted to go back there because I raised in Peshawar, so I just wanted to, I missed those places, I missed my friends. I had lots of friends in Peshawar, and I grew up with them, so I just wanted to go again and look at them and meet them. So I grow my beard, so I'm on the way. You could see Taliban when on the Khyber Pass mountains when you pass. So Jam Road is from Khyber Pass is 2-hour drive from Khyber Pass to Peshawar. So that 2-hour drive on the mountains, all the region is captured by Taliban, and they have their own flags, and they're ruling the road and everything. They can do whatever they want. That's why you could see lots of car explosions. They have a lot of problem there on the road.